On this James the Bike Guy, we're taking a look at the 2021 Trek Dual Sport 4. This is a pretty neat and very exciting new version of the Dual Sport series bike from Trek. And we're going to go into some of the features and designs of this new for 2021 Dual Sport 4, as well as find out what it weighs. But before we get started, be sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you can see more videos like this into the future. So before we get into the specs and features on this Dual Sport 4, let's go ahead and talk about what this bike is all about. So the Dual Sport series from Trek is a combination of a mountain bike and their FX bike. So their FX bike is a fitness series bike, meaning it's designed mostly for the road, but it can still handle some rough stuff and things like that. But in this case, the Dual Sport series focuses on the ability to have off-road chops for, say, when you go camping or you're taking a dirt road, or if you need something that's going to be super reliable on, really rough city roads. This is going to have the extra durability, making this bike kind of like a good quality SUV. You can take it to the campsite when you need to, but the highway drive into the city, it's going to be perfectly happy with as well. And new for 2021 on the DS4, it's going to be a really neat drivetrain, and this is something that gets me pretty excited. So this bike runs what's considered a 1x drivetrain. That means it's got one gear up front on the crankset, and then all the gearing is going to happen on the back. And the reason you might want this is it allows that on the handlebar, you're only going to have one shifter. You don't have a shifter on the left-hand side. And then it makes the gearing on the bike a lot less complicated because you're no longer having to shift the front ring and the rear gears. And neat on this bike is it's got the Shimano Deore M6100 rear derailleur. That means it's going to operate a 12-speed 10 to 51 tooth rear cassette, making the gear range almost as wide as if this had a standard 2x9 drivetrain that you might have seen on previous generations of the bike. But you don't have to worry about losing speed because this has the 42 tooth chainring on a Pro Wheel alloy crankset that personally I think has a real nice aesthetic on the bike. I think the look of this setup is pretty sharp having that 1x drivetrain. Another thing that makes this Dual Sport 4 pretty awesome is going to come into the front suspension. So this is set up with an SR Suntour NRX RL fork. This fork uses a coil spring. It's got 63 millimeters of travel, but the neat thing is it's going to be this remote lockout. The remote lockout happens right on the handlebar. You've got a thumb button where you can lock it into the lock position so the front end doesn't compress. And then you can hit the thumb button here up top, and that's going to allow the front end to open up. So you get that full 63 millimeters of travel. To put that in perspective, a cross-country mountain bike would come with 100 millimeters of travel, so this has a little bit less. But it does make the bike a lot more efficient when climbing, and it's going to save some weight compared to a full-on mountain bike fork. Speaking about comparison with a full-on mountain bike, we should check out these tires. So this has the Bontrager GR1 Expert tire. This tire is a real fast rolling tire. It's 60 TPI and a wire bead, and it's a pretty nice tire, but this is one of the places where I wish the bike came with a tubeless ready tire. And that's because the wheels that come on this bike are very nice. This has the Affinity TLR wheels. These wheels are nice and wide at 21 millimeters of width. They're 32 hole, making them pretty darn durable. They're going to have center lock disc hubs to them, which are made by Shimano, so you end up with pretty top quality parts. And because those wheels are tubeless ready, it would have been real nice to see out of the box that the Dual Sport 4 came with tubeless ready tires. But it's not a big deal because that can be one of your first upgrades to this bike if you wanted to. Getting some nice tubeless ready tires to go with those wheels. And the reason I'd want the tires to be tubeless ready as well is because a tubeless setup, especially on a bike like this, is going to allow for a lot of flat protection. So you can be out on the trail not worrying about whether or not you're going to get a flat, or if you're using this in the city, you can have a lot more confidence with it. Now, before we close out on the features and design of the bike, let's talk about the frame. And this is a place where the Dual Sport 4 really shines. This Dual Sport 4 has Trek's Alpha Gold aluminum. So this aluminum is a pretty high quality aluminum. It's going to be shaped and butted. It's going to have neat features like internal cable routing. I really like the, nice attention to detail with the red bottle cage bolts, which really make the bike come together. On the back, you're going to have mounts for racks as well as fenders. And very neat is it's going to have a mounting system for one of the rear wheel locks. So that way you could lock up just the rear wheel, a cafe style lock. So if you're just going down to the store, you can get a lock underneath there that is always with the bike that keeps a thief from being able to just ride away with the bike. And of course, the cockpit on this frame is pretty nice. You've got a 27.2 seat post with a Bontrager Evoque saddle. And then up front on the cockpit, you've got these Bontrager XR Elite ergonomic grips. These grips allow for a nice palm position, so that way your hand goes on nice and comfortable. You've got connection to the Shimano MT200 brakes, and it's on a 31.8 alloy handlebar with a Bontrager blender stem. The neat thing with the blender stem is it allows you to be able to mount your phone, lights, Garmin's, pretty much whatever you want right on the front end of the bike. So now that we've taken a look at some of the features and designs of this Trek Dual Sport 4, let's go ahead and find out what this bike weighs. The Trek Dual Sport 4 in a size large comes in and weighs 26.54 pounds. Thanks for watching this video on the Trek Dual Sport 4. Go ahead and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure you hit the subscribe button so that way you can see more videos like this into the future. And then while you're at it, leave me a thumbs up. It lets me know you enjoyed the video.